Hello everyone. Well, congratulations on finishing project number 2 last week. Bet you're all glad to have that done with, but now we're about to jump into project 3 already. I can't believe we're already on third project in this class. So this screencast will just kind of go over the directions for project 3 and this week specifically what you should be doing in the process book. Okay, so we had some comments last week that oftentimes directions in this class are a bit confusing, and there seems to be like a lot of places that list conflicting specifications or requirements for your project, and I have noticed that too as an instructor. It gets a little bit confusing when it seems like instructions are spread out over different weeks. So I kind of hope this will help you a little bit understand where to look for the information you need for projects. So each time there's a new project, there's a brief. So the brief for project 3 will be found in the week 7 documents because that's the week we're starting it in. So the project brief is good at kind of an overview of all the parts of the project. It lists out all the steps that will happen over all the different modules, and it's kind of a good overview. The more specific parts come in the process book directions. So the different weeks have different chapters of the process books, and there's even more details and instructions in here. When these do conflict, which unfortunately happens somewhat often, I try and take account for that in the grading. Sometimes there's just little details that don't add up, and I try and look at that and be fair about it because it can be a bit confusing. But again, the two places you're going to be looking for information are the project brief and then the individual process books instructions each week. And hopefully screencasts that I do will help to clarify any confusion there. Okay, now let's jump in. So this new project is a really fun one, I think. You are going to be designing a poster to sell a font to a designer. Traditionally, these are called type specimens, and these kind of posters have been around for a long time, as long as they've been selling fonts and type. Back in the old days when they would have letterpress machines and you had to actually physically buy the font and the pieces of type, they would use these to kind of promote new typefaces and give the designers information about them. And they're called type specimens. I don't know why in this class they don't refer to them as that, but if you are interested in seeing more examples, if you just Google type specimen posters, it'll bring up lots of examples of what these kind of posters look like. So their main purpose is to showcase the font, to show the name of it, to show all the figures in the font, and then usually they're done in some kind of creative way to just highlight the different features, more interesting and notable parts of the font. They're just a fun way to show off the font and what it looks like. So some of them, as you can see, get a little more artistic. Some of them are a bit more straightforward, like this one. For our purposes in the class, in this brief, it will list out the different parts you need, the requirements here. So as long as yours fills all these requirements, you really can get as creative as you want. You could have it be straightforward and simple. It's up to you. Oops, sorry, this is where I meant to go. But yeah, if you want more examples, just check out type specimen posters in Google. I pulled up some that I found, and I will be uploading them, just kind of a few examples with this screencast, so you can look through and see some other ones. This seems to be a fairly common project in design school, is to design these type specimens, so there'll be a lot of student examples out there. It's kind of a rite of passage for graphic designers to design a type specimen sometime in their education, so there'll be lots of examples out there for you. So again, I'll upload these so you can take a look at them. Okay, back to the instructions. So this was a former student's example right here. So for Trade Gothic next, you can see she has the title here. She has the name of the font designer, a little bit of a history of the font, and then down here is kind of a specimen where she lists out the different styles and then shows all the figures and shows a price. So the context: you've been contacted by fonts.com to promote a font by creating a poster. So your audience is other designers. So not necessarily common people, but people like you. People that are interested in design that already know what a font is, what a font family is, what a style is. So it's a more educated audience in this category. Poster should show the versatility and possibility of the font, contain all the information needed. Okay, so the requirements. It's a 16 by 20 poster. It needs to have the name of the font, a brief history with information about the font. This is pretty easy to track down if you just Google it. For example, I Googled Garamond and there's a whole Wikipedia page, and so just kind of scroll through it, skim through it, find the gist of the font, who created it, what was it for, when was it invented, is there any notable uses of it, things like that. Just put together a little paragraph about the font history. Make sure it has the font designer's names, samples of all the weights available. So a couple weeks ago I posted a zip file of the font pack for this class. I actually received an updated one from the people that produce this class for BYU Idaho. So I'll be posting that again with this screencast. So if you see that like the last time you were missing a font or it didn't download correctly, I'll be posting the new updated version. You may just want to re-download them all again so you have the most recent one and make sure you have all the different weights of the font. I will post that again with this screencast. Make sure you have the pricing and contact information. So the website, I guess that's fine for contact information, fonts.com. Have the pricing. Use one of the font families from the class list. So I've already had a couple questions. I'm not assigning a font to you. Just make sure it comes from that class font pack and you'll be good. And you can choose your own. And you need a minimum of 3 colors. So if we look back at this, this has all the parts. It's got the name, the font designer, the history, the purchase price, the different families. It's got 3 colors. And it has an interesting, creative way to showcase the font, and it looks like it's been designed nicely and creates a nice poster that people will be interested in the font. So those are your basic stuff, specifications, and now we'll look at the steps. So this week, week 7, is we will be researching. So the page in the process book asks you to just put that little paragraph we talked about of the history and the research you found, put that in there. Then you will be thumbnailing, and then digital sketches, and then you're picking your 3 best ones to post to the feedback board. So let's look over here, the process book instructions for weeks 7 to see if we have any more specifications. Okay, so here's the research page. The thumbnail page, you'll be printing this out, a PDF, drawing different thumbnails by hand, 20 of them, sketches, and then scanning it and putting it back in the process book. So these ones, thumbnails, it seems like you all have a good handle on that. Just kind of plotting out where would the title go, where could the block of information about the history go, what do I want it to look like? Is it on a vertical axis, horizontal? Does it crop off the edges? Just explore lots of different formats of how you can showcase this font. How you can make someone see this poster and say, wow, that's a really flashy, cool new font and I'd be interested in buying it. If you can do that, you've succeeded. So 20 thumbnails. And then your digital sketches. These ones you'll be doing on the computer, and it wants you to use the actual font in Illustrator. So make sure you have the font downloaded and actually use it in these sketches. So no more like placeholder, actually select the font and use it when you're designing on this page, step 3. Okay, now for step 4, you're going to pick your favorite 3 from this page. Put them here, and then you're going to save a PDF, or sorry, a JPEG of this and upload that to the feedback board for this week. And that will be done by Wednesday. So, and then you know the rest of this, the drawing the font, the type journal, and the ponder page. So that's the gist of what you will be doing this week. I think it's pretty straightforward. I know I've said that before, and then people have questions that I've missed and overlooked. So if you still have questions, feel free to leave them in comments on this announcement. But I think that should get you through this week. That should be enough information to get you started. And I will do another one of these screencasts next week, walking through the next step in the process book. I think that's about it. Yeah, so just research, look up some fonts, look up some examples. I think just Googling and looking at what these font specimen posters typically look like will be your best bet to ensure that you have a good one. Just kind of see how they work, how people have done them in the past. There's some really interesting ones out there, and yeah, it's a fun product to kind of just stretch your wings creatively. So I think that's about it. Again, leave any questions you might have, and good luck.